I thought I would pop on really quick. I have been hustling around this week, getting all the things done. Hair appointment, lash appointment, nails tomorrow, chiropractor, and I'm pretty much ready for baby. I had a lot of people ask about C-sections. I had a lot of people that were like, thank you for posting about C-sections and C-section recovery, and then some people that were just plain asking about why I had them. I thought I would take a minute to tell you a little bit about my I guess birth story for Asher. I know if you've had any babies or if you've had a C-section, you typically know that after the first, they like to schedule you for every following pregnancy for another C-section, and that has been my case. When I went in with Asher for my very last appointment, everything was fine, everything checked out, but I told her at the end that he had slowed down in movements, and so they hooked me up to a machine, and a few minutes, like 40 minutes later, a nurse came in and she asked me about my contractions, and I was like, what do you mean? And she was reading the printout sheet and said, you're contracting every 2 minutes. And I was like, this was interesting to me because it was in zero pain. I was 0% dilated. I don't think I was effaced, nothing. But I had noticed that for the last couple of days, my belly was getting tight and, firm. And I was like really out of breath. But at the same time, at the end of pregnancy, you're always out of breath and your belly's just tight. So I didn't think anything of it. Apparently I was contracting for 2 days, and this checks out because I later learned from my mom that she said she never contracted or felt like painful contractions or any of that, and she also had C-sections. So that was Asher, and we went in the next day. She put me on Pitocin from 8 in the morning until 1. Said that if nothing happened by 1 o'clock, then we would just take the baby. And I was like, okay. So we did, and she was like, buckle up, it's gonna get fast and furious. Pitocin really kicks in, it's probably gonna be painful quickly. Nothing. Half a day on Pitocin, it was like hiccups. It was like someone was hugging my stomach. Nothing. I didn't budge, I didn't dilate. They went in at 1 and they took him, and she said we made the right call because you had no fluids left. So that was a relief to my mama heart that we had made the right call and he came safely into this world. My recovery was really rough. But the disclosure here is that I drove from Arkansas, where I had Asher, to Nashville 2 days after a C-section, and then I never went back to my doctor, obviously because my doctor was in Arkansas, because that was my original OB before I'd moved to Nashville. So I lived in Nashville, but she was still my primary, and so I didn't want to switch that up. So I just left Arkansas, never came back for a follow-up appointment. Should have. I think I probably developed an infection. Shay got back on the road after 2 weeks, and I was left home with a newborn and recovering, and I had severe postpartum. It was really a dark season. It probably took me over a year to climb out of what I call that, like, dark time. So that was my first story with Asher. Needless to say, I was a little paranoid for each pregnancy afterwards because I was like, I don't really contract, I guess, like normal people do. I just have what most would consider Braxton Hicks, I guess, just the tightening of the belly and the breathlessness. So I remember getting monitored a few extra times, probably with Ames, just because I was like, am I contracting? I don't know. They took him at 39 weeks just to be safe. And then Abram had fetal growth restriction. They call it FGR. He was measuring really small. At 36 weeks, he was measuring 3 weeks behind, and we did not know why. And so they scheduled him to be taken 3 days later. I mean, that was my appointment that I went to. They said he's really small. We're going to go ahead and take him early on Monday. And that was on a Friday. So I had 3 days to get everything together, and he came at 37 weeks, and he was in the NICU, and he was on all of the machines. He was on a CPAP machine. Didn't get to see him maybe for 12 hours after he was born because his oxygen levels were low, and I mean, he was just a little early, so he needed a little extra help. But I like to say we prayed him out of that NICU because I did not want to leave the hospital without bringing my baby home with me. And so we just were on our faces praying for each thing to, they were like, he needs this to happen, and we would pray on it. And then they would say, all right, well, I don't know how, but he's all of a sudden, like, his levels are better, but now we need him to do this. And so we just prayed, and he got his machine off and his oxygen levels came up, and we got to bring that sweet baby home when I got released. So that's my story with all of my C-sections. This baby will be full term. They are technically taking him at 39 weeks next week, and I think he's gonna be big. He feels like a big boy. So that's why I've had C-sections. I do think that recovery for the second and third were relatively easier. I think part of that is mentally that I knew what to expect. I knew what to prepare for. I feel most prepared for this baby because I've done it a few times, and so I can tell you some tips. Get up and walk as quickly as you can, or they'll let you afterwards if you're able. I feel like that really helps your recovery. Take your pain medication on time. Don't try to be tough and skip it, because you end up being in a world of hurt, and I don't know that it helps you anymore just like trying to push it out. So just take the medication they give you, take it on time, and don't overdo it. I know that's really hard when you have other little kiddos, but if you have help, accept the help and just rest as much as you can. Don't overdo it. Let people help you. And ice that incision. I kept an ice pack on mine for weeks. I kept compression pants or underwear on, or both, a wrap at pretty much all times except when I was sleeping, and even then I think sometimes it was just nice to have that support. So these are a few of the things that I can speak to as a mom of 3 boys. I've had 3 C-sections. I'm about to have a 4th C-section. And the final question that I will address is, some have asked, are you allowed to have a C-section after 3 babies? Because I know it's pretty common that you will hear doctors say, once you've had 3 C-sections, doctors don't like for you to have any more because it could be dangerous. I did ask the doctor my last pregnancy if she thought I would be able to have any more, because we didn't know if we were done or not. But I just wanted to know that I had the option. And she said, I won't know until I get in there to see the health of your uterus, to see if you have any windows. So they call them windows. If you have thin spots in your uterus, it's probably not super safe to do it again, because those thin spots could rupture while you're pregnant. So she said, I'll know when I get in there. And after I delivered Abram and they were sewing me up, I said, how does it look down there? While she was sewing me up, and she said, you are great. You're good to go. You could have 10 more babies. Not that we will, but what a relief to know. I think it's probably just something that is going to be different and look different for every mama, and it's going to be dependent on the health of their linings. And I don't know, that's what I was told. And so I'm fortunate and thankful that we were able to have this 4th baby. And I'll probably ask her again when she gets in there how my lining is looking. I think that we're done, but if we're not, it's just going to be good to know that the environment is okay for another baby to enter the world at some point, if that is God's plan for us. So I hope this was helpful. I hope this was encouraging. I hope that it was informative. If anyone has any more questions, just drop a line, send me a DM. I might post a poll, let y'all ask your questions, because I'm more than happy to answer. I especially know that if you've had 1 C-section and you're going in for another, or you're contemplating another, it's terrifying. I was so scared to have the second, especially with all the postpartum that I had after Asher. I was so scared to have another baby, and it was day and night difference. It was so much better. It doesn't always have to look that way. So just know that going into it. And if you can mentally be ready for, the recovery and just a few of the aspects of what that's going to look like for you, having more meals on hand. I had my girlfriend set up a food train last delivery, and it was amazing. It was so nice that I didn't have to worry about the boys and what they were going to eat or Postmates every single day. And instead, I had these sweet friends that were sending hot nutritious meals every few days so that not just me, but my kids, my family could eat too. And that took a lot of stress off of me. So if you want to pre-plan and meal prep, I've seen a lot of moms do that too, and I would do it, except our freezer is really full, so I haven't done that so much. But I do feel more prepared, more ready, and I think you just do with each pregnancy. And I know that it looks different for everyone, but I hope that there's just something in here that has helped any mama today. I love you guys. I hope you have a great week. If you have, like I said, questions, concern, feedback, tips, honestly, a mom can never have too many tips. I will always take advice from moms that have gone before and done things, because we don't know it all. Nope, we just don't, and we never will. But it's a learning process, and we're all just doing the best we can. All right, love you guys. Talk to you later.